welcome to the round of 8 people. Yeah, the quarterfinals of Naval Action tournament. Today we're going to be looking at a match between SLRN and the Ocean crew. And as soon as we're loaded in, we're going to have a look at what teams have brought which loadout and what we can expect in the match. Joining me here today is MG and Puchu.
Hello.
Hello. Nice for having us. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Well, I would be lying if I said I was looking forward to this match the entire day, because I figured someone else would be streaming, but lucky for me, I got to tune in, experience it myself. Bit of friendly, bit of friendly chatter back and forth.
So if we continue the thought that we were going on about before, this is going to kick off and MD is going to do the referee stuff. We were talking about the difference between like getting trinks and getting Assexes into these fights. Like right now we see two trinks and a Cerberus on each side. What does that tell us about the about the Essex in fights like this?
It kind of indicates that it is obvious, right? We've had plenty of fights so far that in engagement Essex versus Tring, people have seen that the Essex just doesn't perform up to standard in a straight-on brawling situation, which is quite a shame, really.
Yeah, we've seen that even like with the quote unquote broken.
Oh, 1 second, Puchu.
Stay alive.
Channel switch. User was moved to your channel.
Alright, please continue.
Okay, we've seen that the Essex can stay alive without, with one broadside completely missing for a ridiculous amount of time. But it seems like with the demasting becoming more and more popular, the more the later stages of the tournament, that the more masked HP and I think the more thickness of the mask as well from the Trink is something that really comes into effect when you are going for a more demasked focused meta.
I think you're spot on there. I think whilst we see both teams charge towards each other, we're going to continue this discussion since both teams are bringing an exact loadout of 2 Trings and a Serb, probably all carronade fitted. Yeah, all carronade fitted towards each other. I think what you said is correct, and to add to that, the Trink is so diverse in this kind of matchup, right? It's the heaviest ship you can possibly equip, and irregardless of what you shoot at, just due to the 32-pound carronade you can wield on your bottom gun deck, you can just absolutely destroy everything. If it's mast, it's no problem. If it's a stern and you want to rake someone and do serious damage, that's no problem either. And if you want to shoot a hull, you have the heaviest broadside weight possible.
Like, I know I'm a bit behind on this stream, but I'm gonna tell you something. Well, I'm gonna try to say something about the engagement. Like, usually it has been the case that the side that goes in the first is gonna be the side that loses because they are the ones that get raked the first. So I'm very curious to how they're gonna play out this part of the match. Because getting raked on the mass is very, very dangerous in these loadouts where everybody's trying to demask somebody.
What is good for SLRN, though, we all know that having the inner turn is key, right? Ocean is making the outside turn. They're gonna have the right broadside you see from Shelby at the moment on Snoopy and Freddy, and when they turn right to meet SLRN, they'll still have the unloaded right broadside aimed at the enemy, whilst SLRN shot their right side and now is able to shoot the left into Seawolf again. It's effectively you get a 2-for-1 situation, and the result is a half that Seawolf on one side.
That is true, but Tommy Shelby got a massive mast rake in onto
He
Snoopy.
did get a good rake in on that, yeah, he did. I
And
think
he-
Seawolf played the sacrificial lamb there so that Tommy could get a good rake on the masts going.
Yeah, and
Yeah, you saw
Wolf is
that-
gonna get
you
also
saw
proper
that
rake.
Both sides didn't want to.
They're gonna
Sorry,
get another
Hugo.
mast rake now as well.
It's just like they don't even care about the whole ocean. They just go for the mast. And SLRN is kind of being hunted down at this point, because I reckon Ocean will just be satisfied sailing beam reach, give or take.
Yeah, like let me quickly
Oh,
recap.
there goes the main mast.
Yeah.
Oh,
Snoopy
Jesus.
goes the main mast.
Yeah, what I was trying to say in the beginning, like they were kind of forcing a broadside trade, because how you evade the mast break is by forcing a broadside trade. But SLRN wanted to do a 2-to-1 on Seawolf and sacrificed getting mast break for that 2-to-1. And I'm gonna be curious to see how that initial DPS advantage is gonna turn out to be either helping SLRN or hurting them. I think it's actually gonna hurt them.
Well, it's interesting, in the match they played against the Dust team, of which I was part, they traded so much side structure that in the end they just had a massive problem to engage at all. I was demastered at that point. I was full health and had a repair left. If I were to be somewhat mobile again, or we would have been able to stay a bit more together, I think they would have had a serious problem on the hands. But at this point, I think the damage Ocean has sustained is not sufficient enough to be worthy a mast rate. So, well played by Ocean so far. And I think they're just gonna go for the finishing job on Snoopy at this point.
MG, help me a bit. What are they currently doing? Like, what's Tommy Shelby doing in there?
I think Shelby and Seawolf are just gonna try and cut off Snoopy at this point. As in, they're gonna.
I think they are just trying to push Freddy and Maneuver away. Isolate Snoopy and just kill him.
She comes and picks me up.
I mean, both the ocean trinks are very close together. Freddy in the SLRN trink is sort of heading away. Oh, there goes Snoopy's foremast. Wow.
What?
Okay.
I don't understand it.
He's just fired off his sail rep as well.
That's not right. That's not
What SLRN needs to do right now, which we did as well, get Maneuver and get Freddy upwind and get them to camp behind Snoopy. Let Snoopy do the whole tanking, because he's not going to go anywhere, and let him use his side structure and brawl it out. Because if you can force Seawolf into hull repair at this point, and that entire broadside just bounced off, wow. That was some proper angling by Seawolf.
So we know from the last matches that both of these teams have been running boarding servers.
Yep.
Do you think, like, the way how you actually counter a ship that is going for a massive tanking build is by just, taking out its crew and boarding it? And if you look at Seawolf, he just raped Snoopy, and maybe that's an indicator for the Ocean team trying to mitigate their hull disadvantage by taking one of the SLRN ships out by boarding.
It would be a clever play. We were in my match. We were expecting from the moment I was demastered that either of their ships was gonna either try and board or just stern camp me to bits. Hence why we stayed together as we did. And I think Ocean at this point is just not entirely sure. Snoopy got his mast back up. Seawolf has already popped his hull repair. Yeah, Maneuver and Freddy is still nearly completely untouched.
I think the situation that we're having is that the Ocean team is very, very committed on the mast raking on Snoopy. And I think if they switch now, they're just gonna lose automatically.
Yeah.
So I think
Agreed.
they just need to stick with that strategy and try to, get him down. His crew is already down a significant amount, and I think,
Snoopy.
yeah, they just need to continue with what they have begun and try to not die in the process.
Snoopy's 10 crew down. I wouldn't particularly call that significant.
Oh, sorry, I can't see that. I was expecting he got raked twice.
He got
did.
raked twice, but
He
it was
got-
at an
yeah.
angle. So the thing
He's
is,
on 352 crew, so he's hardly lost any really.
the thing is, Shelby can't shoot Snoopy's mast. He has to shoot his side, and Snoopy, I think, is more than happy to shoot the side of Tommy, which he's doing right now. And at this point, we're seeing that Alice is somewhat cut off from the other two guys, and Snoopy is able to get the side of his mast instead of the front, where he presents a proper rake. And in the meantime, they're just going for the mast of Alice. So I'd almost dare argue, as soon as Alice loses a mast, and that literally just happened,
Oh, there you go. Yeah, he's just lost his mizzen.
and I think Ocean's gonna have a problem with getting back upwind towards the SLRN crew, and I reckon SLRN is just gonna swarm and completely destroy what's left of this the Cerberus.
Well, here again, we just need to point out how good the play from Snoopy actually is. So what he's doing is...
Oh, there goes his main mast as well. Ellis has lost his main mast as well.
Yep.
Yeah, he needs repair.
He's
but
just
Snoopy
popped
is,
his repair now, yeah.
Snoopy is right there, just trying to prevent the mast rake by showing the Ocean team his broadside.
Mhm.
And that's a very, very good play if you wanna evade getting through the mast rake.
Proper rake by Tommy on the mast of Snoopy.
Yeah.
Won't give it long though before Alice is in problem. I reckon Maneuver might actually be going in for some boarding action at this point.
Could be, yeah.
But
Kissy, kissy.
yeah, I think Alice is just too fast. I don't think it's gonna do anything. Snoopy should be mindful because he's gonna get a proper rake from the front if he continues to stern, and he wisely decides not to. What we're seeing on the right is Tommy going for the hull of Freddy at this point. Could this be the deciding factor that Ocean has decided? Sorry? Didn't quite catch
I
what.
don't think. I think he's desperately going for the hull. I don't think that's a good maneuver.
I think Ocean is a problem in general. SLRN doesn't have to close any distance, they're already there. They got two of the guys upwind from them, which will never escape. They got Seawolf, who already popped his repair downwind from him. So, at this point, I reckon SLRN can just brawl it out. I would be surprised if... No, I should rephrase that. It's very much possible that they can still get a few masts, but Tommy at this point is just broadside trading with Freddy, who seems very willing to continue to do so. Could indeed be as well that Maneuver tried to break the bowsprit of Alice, but I reckon by the way he slowed down and had his manual sails for a right turn, that he was just trying to get in front and cut him off. But I could most certainly be
I
mistaken.
don't know what Maneuver is doing at this point. I mean, he and Alice, they're probably like 100% boarding fit, both of them. So, like, he doesn't have any advantage there. And they're probably both at, like, right now at 100 prep, so that's basically just rock, paper, scissors if they would go into a boarding. So I don't think that would be a good play of, either of them.
Shelby just nearly annihilated the side structure of Maneuver. Snoopy doing a bit of a questionable broadside. Alice turning upwind again instead of downwind.
Yeah, maybe we can talk a little bit about this wind thing. Can you show the people the camera in such a way that it comes straight from the wind?
Yes, I can. I think that's this position, give or take.
Yeah. So if you look at that position, then you see that um, Seawolf is in a very bad spot. Like he can't come up close, and he has no control over his position in the fight because he basically cannot sail upwind. There's almost no way for Seawolf to come up to the other ships. That's why keeping the wind is so important in all kinds of fights, because as long as you have the wind, which means as long as you are upwind from the enemy, which means in this, as long as you are in that position, you can always decide if you want to get closer or if you want to stay at the position that you are in. In the position that Seawolf is now, it's very hard for him to decide to come closer. By the way, forced to stay in that position. So to get together, the ocean team, Tommy Shelby and Ellis, they both have to come down to Seawolf, which is going to hurt them because then they are all going to be in the position that they cannot come closer upwind towards the SLRN team, and the SLRN team is going to be controlling the flow of the fight from that point on because they again have the wind as a team then.
Snoopy just lost another mast. I
Yeah.
think Alice has popped
Just
his
lost his foremast.
hull, but I'm not 100% sure about that. You're absolutely right. The thing Ocean has to keep in mind is that Seawolf has popped his repair. So letting him in the close quarter will also result in him being focused down to an extent. I'm wondering if Snoopy can actually get out of this iron position he's in. And
Yeah,
Freddy,
he's well and truly stuck in irons, isn't he?
and Freddy needs to be mindful because Freddy is somewhat on his own. I mean, Tommy is not a direct contestant to his position, but it's not particularly nice to be in. Something I would find an interesting topic to discuss as well is the efficiency of carronades against mast on long ranges. I mean, we all know if we heal our ship a bit and we fire a few cannonballs that they will still penetrate a hull. Something I'm less inclined to consider good mechanics is that it also works like that on the mast. You can just shoot at range and you'll just hit and penetrate nearly most of your shots, and especially close quarter carronades are just the only way to go forward. Longs and mediums are effectively not viable. Any thoughts regarding that?
Yeah, there's two things you need to look at when you're talking about these penetration values. There's the first thing, like the basic penetration on range, and the second thing is the angle that you can shoot at with your guns. So if you're looking at the masts, then of course the carronades, the way they are designed right now, they basically always penetrate because the Frink has a mast thickness of, correct me if I'm wrong, 105 or 107, and the carronade penetration is way higher than that. So you're basically always going to penetrate with the carronades as long as you hit them. Well, the longs, the 12-pounder longs, no, there's 9-pounder longs on the Trink, right? Or is it 12-pounder?
Trink can have 12 pounds.
So the 12-pounder longs on Trinks have a penetration of 95, which means they're never going to penetrate any mast. It's just not going to happen. Even if you hit, it's going to do 0 damage. So if you are trying to engage a ship with with longs, you need to already know that basically half of your broadside is not going to do anything against their masts. And then you have the 18-pounders, which we would have to look at the exact values right now, but basically they only penetrate the masts if you are as close as you would need to be with carronades anyways. Which means effectively the gun range of longs and carronades is almost the same. So basically in the fighting distance that you can be in, there's almost no difference between fighting with carronades and fighting with longs because of the penetration, how it's modeled right now. So you might as well just go for carronades, right? And if you're looking at hull shots, then it is much easier to angle your ship and to defend against long cannon shots because they have lower penetration. The high penetration of carronades is what's going to help you shoot at the hull of your enemy from much steeper angles than if you would do the same with long cannons. So that's also why brawling in carronades is way more effective than doing it with longs, because you cannot angle against carronades. It's very good.
Sorry to interrupt you. Snoopy a minute ago lost his bowsprit, but he in return completely demasked Alice.
He's just turned Ellis into a unicorn.
Yup.
But the fight right now, it's going crazy, right?
Well, yeah.
Tommy and
Freddy Krueger was completely isolated not so long ago, and he's managed to beat back up wind to rejoin Snoopy and Maneuver, leaving Tommy, Shelby and Seawolf trailing behind. Of course, Ellis was 2v1 against Maneuver and Snoopy, and is now going to be, well, just sat there as a floating fortress, really.
Fish food.
Until he gets sunk.
Yeah, you could see Alice trying to, obviously not easily able since he had a lack of sails, but he tried to dodge that broadside. You could see Snoopy holding his fire to the last second, and the result wasn't, I dare say, a really excellent mast rake.
Yeah, we're going to see a boarding here as well, Maneuver and Ellis.
We see Freddy Krueger returning from his little dual brawl with Tommy and Seawolf. Admittedly, I would have, from SLRN perspective, expected him to return faster.
You know what? I don't think he is going to board. I think Maneuver was literally just pushing Ellis around so that he couldn't fire on Snoopy.
Touché.
I think that's all he was doing. He was just repositioning Ellis so that his broadside was, completely ineffective.
I'm wondering
it's like
if...
a dance.
Kinda is. I'm wondering if Snoopy is just gonna camp Alice at this point. You not even bother with the other two, just slowing down himself and just securing the kill on Alice and then moving forward. Because we see Seawolf coming in at this point, and he's just gonna get loads of hits towards mast and hull. And I think Freddy and maybe Snoopy, if he can turn his ship around, can just take that damage. Maneuver is parked at a spot where you can shoot Alice, and I doubt Alice is able to get returning fire going.
I think he's just outside the cone of fire, isn't he?
Seems like, yeah. Shots from the bow, not particularly effective, but, damage is damage at this point. Might as well.
Yeah, and again, you see like one of the main, I want to say like that, weaknesses of the Ocean team right here is where they just constantly, they keep just losing the wind. Again, the SLRN team, they have the wind, they have the ability to, maneuver around, and the Ocean team is just completely, they're separated in the back somewhere, they're trying to crawl upwind, it's going to be very painful.
Hey, look at the separation between Tommy and Seawolf. The two, they're totally separated by quite a long way there.
I think this is done on purpose, to be honest. I think Tommy's stacking through the wind to come up near Alice from behind, and Seawolf, who currently has the side structure and mast integrity, will just challenge SLRN via sailing upwind more directly. Maneuver just rammed off his bowsprit, but this is clever. This is what we did as well. Make Snoopy a gun battery, point him in the direction of Alice, and just get his guns into the fight. That's all you need to do.
I mean, the thing is that I think Snoopy was just stuck in wind, wasn't he? He's stuck in irons.
Yep.
Bit of a shame that Maneuver lost his bowsprit. I don't think he intended that, but there we go.
He still has his mast rep, so I would not be too worried. And I think this is exactly what Ocean was planning, to just rendezvousing on Alice and potentially trying to swarm Snoopy. And I assume Maneuver's going to stick with and Freddy's going to return soon, but I'm not sure where Freddy's going, to be honest. I would have expected him to stay with his two teammates, because his two teammates are going to be in the middle of a quite interesting fray in a minute. Alice just going for the remaining D-mast.
Yeah.
Same for Seawolf. Because effectively if Ocean is able to take out the SLRN Trink from the fight, they can afford to lose Alice in the Cerberus.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Which is a bit strange for why Freddy has sailed so far away.
Yep. Exactly what I was wondering.
Downwind of the Ocean guys as well. And like you were saying before, Puch, Tommy Shelby has beaten up wind and he's now in the windward position on Snoopy. So he'll probably he may even just take his sails down and just there goes Snoopy's mainmast.
As I said,
just sit there on his bow.
I'm not surprised at all. I think the entire move of splitting up and rendezvousing in this way by Ocean was planned, at least to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
Alice is in a dire position though, because he's literally brawling it out with Snoopy.
Alice is happy to do that.
Yeah,
I mean, at least he's shooting.
I'm wondering if it's... Oh, never mind. I was about to say if it's not more efficient for Alice to start shooting the whole of Snoopy, but I think I'm overruled. They are currently demasting with ball instead of chain. Due to the short range, it's easy to get some accurate shots in, and ball does substantial damage towards mast.
Has anybody ever been able to demast with chain?
Sorry?
No.
I don't think it's even possible.
So. No, I didn't think it was possible either.
Right,
okay,
so...
for the guys who are watching, if you ever find yourself in a position with like Alice and Snoopy, they can either like decide to broadside trade it out, or what is really possible with the carronades. These two ships, especially the Trink, is very weak on the top deck and very weak to grape fire. So you can actually shoot over the bulwarks on the side to get grape shots into the open deck of the Trink, which is gonna do massive crew damage.
Yep, I think we're talking around 10-15 guys per shot if you do it properly. If I recall correctly.
That's a bit much, but yeah, it can be a lot.
Granted, when I did it, I was shooting over the length of the ship, not over the side.
Yeah.
But you're completely right.
So the question is, do you think that one of the Trinks might have some boarding mods put onto them?
No. I'm that certain they don't. At least, granted, how they acted in the last match, I don't think they would. Uh, they only showed that Alice, or at least their third guy at the time, I don't recall who it was a different person. Alice is their reserve. Um,
It
but
was Sea
no,
Hyena.
sorry, yeah?
Yeah, it was Sea Hyena
Oh yeah.
who wasn't the boarding sergeant.
I'm at the moment, the main thing I'm worried about, if Freddy dares, of Tommy dares to sail in between Snoopy and Freddy, they can get some interesting results going. But Tommy seems to be willing to not sail on the intercept course and more on the rendezvous course with his drink friend.
Oh, this is what you get for DD. What the hell is DD?
Um, I'm wondering.
I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't either.
Double damage? I don't know.
Deliberately I don't know. Deliberately demasting of the bowsprit? I've no clue. Really, I don't.
Yeah. So again, what we see now with Alice and Snoopy is that Snoopy got the side armor of Alice down, and Alice is just not sinking. But what Snoopy is doing is he's trying to get the crew of Alice down to reduce his sustainability power, which is a very good thing if you ever find yourself in a position.
He just hit him again with Grape. He's down to 40 crew now.
Yeah, that's a very good thing. If somebody is just, pointing his damaged side to you, his zero armor side, and he's basically invulnerable to grape shot, to ball shot, then you can switch to grape shot and just massacre his crew, and that's gonna get it.
DD, Determined Defender, by the way. It just popped back into my head. I was like, I recognize the term, but it's Determined Defender.
Right, okay, that's the additional, the enemy has to have 20% more crew than you, don't they?
Yeah.
It was 40%, but I think that was a bit too much.
Yeah. Yeah, Alice down to 18 crew. You can write that ship off.
Yeah, getting the Determined Defender perk is really smart if you're fighting a team who you know has a boarding ship with them.
It kind of depends on the setup, to be honest. Especially with these kind of frigates, right? You're talking about 200 crew versus 240, which is not that difficult to obtain. If you're in the Cerberus, it means you can get by default boarded by a surprise. If the enemy has 2 bell pools and a surprise. So I'm just wondering when the Master Freddy is gonna come down. Looking at how his sails look just 5 ball damage. It's a small miracle. Snoopy just being a gun battery. Not really exciting, but it's a job that needs to be done. In the foreground, we see Alice sinking.
I would have thought so. He's not got enough people to man the pumps, has he? He's only got, what's he got, about 15 crew left. So he's done.
Yep.
He's taking on a lot of water now.
All of a sudden, he's sinking incredibly fast. And there we go.
Has Alice done enough with completely demasting Snoopy, though?
I don't think so, to be honest.
Drinks on Ocean's team?
I reckon SLRN is just gonna withdraw behind Snoopy.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
with...
It's the obvious choice, isn't it?
I think Freddy still has a silver bearer, and Maneuver has expanded it, I think.
Yeah, because Maneuver had lost his bows, but he has actually repped his sails, so...
Yeah, regardless, Maneuver has still got his whole repair, Snoopy has, and Freddy has just expanded it, but Seawolf has popped his hull repair and Tommy has popped his hull repair as well. It's 3 versus 2.
The funny thing is, though, that now the wind has shifted, the ocean, well, certainly Tommy has got a good position where he can actually stay windward of Freddy Krueger, and the two of them can just, sail after Freddy and take him down 2v1. They don't even need to bother with Snoopy and Maneuver.
Yeah, Maneuver is trying to keep his damage side, looking towards, like, either away from the enemy or towards Snoopy. It's a very nice maneuver. But he doesn't seem too healthy, Maneuver there. Like, if we continue this battle, like, I mean, Snoopy is basically out unless Freddy just, comes back to him. And the two Trinks can just keep in Freddy Krueger and bow to stern, so he is basically a non-factor there as well. So then the only remaining factor is Maneuver, who is, forced to sit somewhere without being able to trade any more fire. So I think how it is now, I think Ocean is still in a pretty good spot.
Oh yeah, especially with Freddy on his own and just sailing further and further away. I think the farther he goes, the better the Ocean's crew chances are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't understand why he sailed away from the other two.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he is about to lose a master. Look at his sales
He
percentage.
must be, yeah, I think so as well.
I mean, I had reinforced mast and rigging specialist on, right? And that resulted still in 4 broadsides for me losing a mast. And looking at his sale percentage, he's either lucky as hell or literally 1 shot will, or like 3 shots will literally take down 3 masts.
Yeah, I think the same as well. I think he's just been very lucky that he hasn't actually lost a mast yet.
That's my
he's
guess.
on 66% sales.
One could argue that this is the best moment to actually start repairing. Your masts have taken loads of hits, and you're low, but you haven't effectively lost the mast yet.
Yeah.
Because if the mast goes, if the mast goes down now, that means you're another 20-30% down.
Sure. Yeah, and that's percentage that you're never going to make back up with your repair, are you?
Exactly.
You might as well rep now and get yourself up to what, 90% something.
Yeah, which means you're going to get your mass up to 90% as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is what you want at this stage.
Yeah.
And this is some, I wouldn't say questionable play either, but I was certain that Freddy wasn't in a good position, but with Seawolf combined with Tommy giving way to get maneuvered up to Freddy, I don't know. Not sure what I want to say, but it felt all different, the engagement a minute ago, than it is looking right now. At least in my view. I mean, maneuver's low, but he has a repair, and that ship is effectively unsinkable if not shot at.
Well, we're about to get a rake, mast rake on Freddy Krueger, I think.
Yep.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Just right now, what the teams, like what the Ocean team has to do is they have to just basically, if they both stay behind Freddy Krueger, then he is almost out of the fight, and they're gonna just get shots onto maneuver anyways because he can't like evade everything. So I think they need to be just patient here.
Yep. I think patience, as you said, is all they need to do. They'll get the stern rakes on Freddy. Maneuver's low anyways, he can't brawl. Seriously, what are those masts made of?
Actually save parts of his broadsides to single shot maneuver.
By the way, Freddy has popped the sail wrap at this moment.
Oh, he has. Yeah, he
Yep,
has.
yep.
Yeah.
I think he realized that he was pushing it and decided to, yeah. Broadside a bit low.
Yeah, Tommy's doing this very good. He's slowing down a lot, trying to stay out of the arcs of Freddy Krueger. That's exactly what he has to do. If everybody wants to know how to do like stern camping, there, look at that. That's how you do it.
It's like textbook. Every time Freddy wants to shift about, he's gonna present again the entire length of his mast row, and Tommy will just punish him for it, as we'll probably see right now.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
And
never
now
mind.
Seawolf needs to turn. So, because Maneuver is gonna try and stern camp Seawolf now. I think he just realized that Tommy is basically totally ignoring him, and so he's gonna go and switch the attention.
Oh, I need
But
to.
then again, yeah.
Sorry, I just sailed outside the battle zone. I need to correct my position. But I must admit, I feel confident about Ocean's position at this point.
Yeah.
Very comfortable and confident. Alright, let's fly back to the battle. I wonder if it would not have been a better play for SLRN to just stick with Snoopy.
I still don't understand why they left him. I mean,
Yeah.
at any point in the fight, if they'd stayed around Snoopy, they would have had stationary, support from two full broadsides. It doesn't make any sense to have sailed away from him.
Freddy also
It
has
wouldn't
his
have been
weak.
good shots.
Sorry.
It wouldn't have been good shots, but it would have still been, shots. And
It would have made a
considering-
difference, yeah.
Yeah, and considering the angle at which which we were talking about before, like since the penetration of the carronade is so high, you can basically penetrate the hull at very ridiculous angles. So just being stationary is not that bad.
Mind you, when I was demasted, I think I ended up with 275 hull hits and 472 sail hits, and I was demasted after 4 broadsides, which was nearly immediate. So,
Yeah.
and Freddy also has his weak side towards Shelby at this point, which is very interesting to see. I think they can, if you look at the side structure of Shelby and Seawolf, 1 or 2 broadsides can really mess up their day. I'm just unsure if Freddy's able to make it back towards Snoopy, which is the thing they need to do, I think.
MG, help me here. Did Ocean lose the wind again?
Well, it shifted quite a lot just in the last few minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, Freddy is now upwind of Tommy and Seawolf.
Yeah, and Seawolf is pretty far downwind right now.
Yeah, he is.
But
yeah.
I think we see Maneuver going down.
Well, Maneuver's got a fire, and is he getting it under control? Let's see.
I think he repaired it, but he's sinking fast at this point.
He is sinking really quick, isn't he?
And we were talking about the difference between longs and carronades before. Like, when Tommy Shelby was stern camping, I was saying that he might try and save parts of his broadside for maneuver. But actually, in this case, since the side that he just shot with the carronades, it just reloads so ridiculously fast, and they probably also have some kind of reload mods on, maybe, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The sides reload so massively fast, way for maneuver to stay out of any kind of firing mark. If you had longs in this fight, then maneuver would have been able to basically hide behind the already shot broadside of Tommy Shelby, which is like a totally different way of fighting. So
Quick
you can't
question.
hide from anything with Karen.
Quick question. If both teams lose an equal amount of battle rating, how is the victory decided in this match? In the background we see Maneuver sinking the rest of his wreckage.
What, you mean if it's a tie
Yeah,
at the end of the time?
yeah.
Well, they'd have to refight the battle, surely. Because we can't have ties. I mean, now you're into a knockout stage, so there has to be a winner in this match.
I think Freddy...
So
oh, sorry.
it
Yeah.
might even be a case of saying, right, well, jump straight back into the tournament room again and just have, like, one of you. 1v1.
Or the ships that didn't sink in the first battle can participate in the second.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could also just lengthen the timer.
Well, we can't because when the battle finishes is when the timer runs out in the battle instance. So there's
but does it kick people out? Because I don't think it actually kicks people out until like 30 minutes later or so.
Yeah, but does it actually record damage after the battle is over?
Well,
I mean, I know it still classes people sinking after the timer is finished.
You can still do damage after that. Yeah. You can still do damage after that.
Fred decided that.
He's legging it, isn't he?
Yep.
He's heading back to Snoopy now.
And if he's clever, whilst he's making this turn, he's gonna push Snoopy around, or at least use him as bait. And I wonder why he didn't do this 10 minutes early or 15 minutes early. I mean, chasing two drinks, regardless of which state they're in, it's dangerous, and they can burst so hard.
Can we have like a crew comparison of the team?
Will do. Snoopy has 312 crew. Freddy's at 299, Tommy Shelby's at 324, and Seawolf is at 315.
Okay, so there's a slight but not a massive difference in crew.
Exactly.
Such a shame that they didn't get the mass down of Freddy.
Well,
I think he got really lucky and then repaired at the exact last moment
I
possible.
think so as well. Yeah, I think the same.
I'm wondering though, theoretically, SLRN has much more side structure to spare. The downside is that Freddy is low on one side, and Snoovy can't really tank because effectively they can just ignore him. But Ocean doesn't have much to spare, especially in drinks. As you mentioned before the battle, or Maneuver might have been the one who said it, drinks are horrible when it comes to survivability.
Do you think we're gonna see a SLRN catamaran here?
Sorry?
Like a two-hull ship? Are we gonna see a SLRN catamaran? Like where you have a ship with one sails and two hulls? And Freddy being protected by the Snoopy?
I think that's seriously a possibility. I think Freddy's gonna push Snoopy so he can shoot at the sails of the guys approaching. And trying to get the stern away from the initial approach of them. Potential also to cover his weak sides, yeah? I think that's exactly what's gonna happen, and that's the only viable play. Well,
I'm pretty sure that the Ocean team cannot win on pure hull damage at this point. They can't take out Snoopy.
They can take out Freddy, and Snoopy they can just camp. They have 41 minutes left. It's plenty of time to pick someone apart. And that's some proper repositioning there. Excellent.
Wow.
That's perfect. If Freddy Krueger dropped sails right now, this would be like ideal.
Yeah, but you don't want to drop sails.
No, you might want to do it a bit to at least form a collective. If Freddy decides to leg it off with full sail again, the point of Snoopy being here is non-existent.
Yeah, that's totally true. But you don't want to like completely drop sails and just stick together. Like the catamaran option, although it might be funny, it's not like a real option because if you drop sails completely, you're gonna get raped massively, and then they're gonna just board you. That's gonna be it.
Of course, but look at what's happening. Freddy's gonna get his left side exposed in a minute because he's literally in between the two enemies. So I'm curious on how he's gonna get out of that. And Tommy's probably gonna go for a finishing rake on Snoopy, and if Seawolf permits, Tommy might just go for a knockout on Snoopy.
Yeah, Tommy has to be wary of the damage though.
This might be me, but I don't understand why Freddy at this point didn't decide to sail upwind, but stick with Snoopy, because Freddy is gonna get focused down right now on his weak side.
Yeah, absolutely. Why did he sail all the way back to Snoopy and then leave him again?
I mean, Tommy didn't even rake Snoopy. He didn't even bother.
Yeah.
Are we casters allowed to say something like misplay?
Well, I'm a streamer. I don't care. I'm here to look at a match, and what I see is something I don't understand. And maybe they have a different line of thinking, and I'm just unable to think what they're doing at this point. But I think this might be something I would not do myself. Yes.
Freddy has to like, he has to just go to Snoopy and cut his sails to like battle sails, depowered, and then just circle around Snoopy or something like that. Because in this position, he's just dead. The position that Freddy has been in for the last 20 minutes or so is called Deadman's position, and that's for a reason.
And Ocean did a double rake, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, the Freddy is just in Deadman's position constantly, and basically Seawolf is just maneuvering Freddy around till eventually his weak side is gonna end up next to Tommy Shelby, and that's gonna be very, very painful.
Yep.
Because it's hard if you have somebody stuck to your stern like that. It's hard to keep your attention on the whole battlefield as well. You try to shake that guy off, and then all of a sudden a ship turns up on your weak side, and you're like, oh, how did I miss that one? It's because it's really hard to get somebody away from your stern.
I think you're spot on. Look at Freddy. His weak side is being exposed. For a second I thought if he can get some proper shots off on Tommy, he might be able to do a 1 versus 1. But then you'll have a ship with maneuverability against a demastered ship, and it will be game set match. I think unless Freddy dares to tag through the wind and get to Snoopy, we can write SLRN off, sadly.
MG, do you know why Tommy passed Freddy on his on the right there? Because if he had passed him on his left, I think his weak side would be just gone.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Unless he was trying to lure Freddy into a position that'd make it easier for Seawolf to finish him off. I mean, his poor armor is now gone completely. Maybe Tommy would just like to stay in a pretty defensive position and take as little damage as possible.
Yeah, probably that.
I'd be surprised.
So again,
oh, sorry. Yeah. No, go ahead.
So again, if we're talking about hints for people that are fighting out there, if you have a ship, if you're 2 against 1, or if you have 2 ships and you're fighting against one ship that has no armor on like a damaged side or a weak side on one side, you basically don't want to all stay on one side of him. So you want to have one ship on the windward side and one ship on the leeward side. So basically, whenever the enemy turns, he's eventually gonna expose his weak broadside. So basically, you sacrifice like the wind position to gain a pretty sure, secure shot on one of the weak sides. And that's basically what the Ocean team was doing there. They had one weak target, and they were coming in from both sides, from upwind and from downwind. So wherever poor Freddy was turning, he would eventually expose his weak side.
It's interesting to see that. I think this match could have gone both ways. As in, I think if a few things would have happened differently, the result would have been in favor of a different team by default. I don't think it would have taken much for this match to be decided in a different way at all. And I think the stone raking has begun on Snoopy. Yep.
Yeah, Freddy's gonna not survive this.
If he can do well, I was about to say, if he can get lucky and get Tommy's side structure down, he'd at least get 1-for-1, but...
Yeah, but Tommy was very careful with his rakes on the mast, trying to not take damage. So he was always just slowing down when raking, and then he immediately turned. He even sacrificed some of the shots hitting to be able to turn in faster. It's always interesting if you look at how people actually fight. You're always going to see that one side starts committing to some kind of damage, right? So you have one side. In this case, you had the SLRN side committing to hull damage, and you had the Ocean team committing to sail damage, which means mast damage in this case. So then, automatically, if you realize the strategy of the enemy, then you know how you can defend against it. So what Snoopy was doing is he was defending in the beginning of the fight. He was defending against mast damage by presenting his broadsides, which led to the Ocean team taking a significant amount of hull damage. But then again, in the last couple of minutes, you saw that the Ocean team knew exactly that all SLRN wanted to do is get their hulls down. So they knew they could point their sails and they could risk getting sail raked because they were not weak on the sails. The sails were their strong side, actually. So it's really important to actually know what your enemy is trying to do, so you can basically counter it.
Yep.
Right? If you have the enemy shooting your hull, then you want to present your masts, and if the enemy is shooting your masts, you want to present your hull. It's pretty basic and relatively simple if you would put it that way.
Which sometimes can be difficult. It can be quite difficult if you're up close, and the enemy started shooting your mast, right? You are forced to either return fire at the mast or go for the hull. But if at some point you get presented with the mast rake, it doesn't really matter because you're already behind on mast damage. So it's not much you can actually gain from it. Michael Bay incoming. Oh, we're gonna see an explosion.
Oh, we're going to see a boom ship.
Oh, I was about to say, if Seawolf is brave enough to lay still there, that would have been interesting. Yeah, his crew is getting shredded at this point. It's not even great what is being fired. It's just regular ball. I think on the distant horizon we'll see Freddy sinking. Oh, What a timing. Tommy just casually sailing away. Seawolf doing fine.
Was Snoopy about to go boom boom?
Oh,
Okay, he's into fire shock.
that was a good fight. Good
That
fight
was,
indeed.
yeah, it was a good fight.
So I think if we look back at the fight, I think we can see that the Ocean team, they were trading massive parts of their hit points for completely taking out the sails of Snoopy and for the mass DPS advantage that they got, which might have hurt them more if Freddy had stayed more with Snoopy. But since they were able to separate Snoopy and Freddy, that's when what basically put the nail in the coffin for the SLRN team.
I agree. And I think that marks the end of this battle.
Yeah.
I actually have to step out at this point for a bit. I reckon you'll do an after-match debrief. I unfortunately can't be part of that. I wish the guys who fought in the battle, I wish them a good evening. They fought incredibly well, so take a rest and yeah, maybe look back on how you fought, what you did. To the guys watching, thank you very much, and see you in the next match.